This is the Aflac Insurance Inside High School Sports Show, highlighting all of Section 3, interviewing the greatest local coaches and athletes. Brought to you by SummitCars.com, broadcasting in the ESPN studios. Here's your host, Mike Bristol, and Eagle Newspapers' Phil Blackwell.
All right, here we are on Mike Bristol, the guru Phil Blackwell, and it is the Inside High School Sports Show. Phil, what's happening? Anything new and exciting in your world?
And it's actual spring.
I know, right?
I mean, all the snow's melted. The games have started relatively on time. Lacrosse teams are well underway. Baseball and softball teams could be well underway on time rather than the normal waiting for weeks for the snow to melt and the ground fields to dry. And they don't have to worry about all that right now. They're starting. So that's encouraging, and that makes for a busy spring.
All right, so what else has been going on, Phil? So talk about some of the big history here. Boys lacrosse, a big story, of course. Coach Sean Smith given the awesome task of trying to follow Mike Massera at West Genesee. Talk about that.
Well, they started their season by beating Saratoga Springs on Tuesday night. Then they play Penfield this afternoon. Eventually, they'll get into a Class A that's been made a little bit smaller because even though Baldwinsville, Liverpool, and CNS are still there, the changing of the classes this year has put FM into Class B. So even though FM's going to be playing these league teams all year, they're going to be playing B when it gets to the postseason, which is a big advantage for them because there's not a lot of teams in Class B in the local area. There are far more teams in Class C and D. We just, Rick Beardsley just had his show here, and CBA is in Class C, and so is West Hill, and so is JD, and so is ESM, the B champs from last year. That is a loaded class.
All right, let's talk about, it's fitting that you look at high school lacrosse here. It starts for the most teams this week after, obviously, SU men's and women both earned come-from-behind wins Sunday playing at the high school field. So the men doing so against Duke in front of a packed house at CNS's Bragman Stadium. The women rallying past Notre Dame at CBA's El Grande Stadium, but perhaps would get area high schools to link up with the Cuse tradition and the Cuse domination here. But let's talk about, Phil, Friday, Saturday, some of these college games. What else has been going on? Clearly moving these games is a big hit for fans and players. So why not? What's the deal here?
Well, the thing was, the reason why they had to move them was because the NCAA women's tournament was in the Carrier Dome, and thus they moved a couple of SU women's games to CBA to play them at El Grande Stadium, and they came from behind and beat Notre Dame last Sunday. And the men's game between SU and Duke moved to CNS. They had a packed house, 4,000 or 5,000 people there. The stand's full, and it was a dramatic game. Duke was up 8-4 late in the fourth quarter. Syracuse scores 4 in a row to force overtime and then wins it in overtime. And the roars and the enthusiasm and energy was much greater probably than it would have been in the Carrier Dome. You have 5,000 or 6,000 people in the dome, it can get lost. But if you get 5,000 or 6,000 people there, well, it's a big deal. But imagine having that once a year. Imagine having that with the start of the high school season. Of course, the high school teams, college teams are playing for a month by the time the high school teams start. But the high school season starts late in March. There's never much crossover between. Imagine if there was a little bit of synergy going on. Say a festival of 2 or 3 days where you have a bunch of boys' games or girls' games up at a place like CNS because that's a big enough facility to handle it. Imagine if you had all that and an SU game at the end of the weekend. And imagine what kind of a, boost it would be across the board. It doesn't even have to be SU. It could be OCC. It could be Lemoyne. It could be all those other local programs that have done so well, men's and women's alike. So I think there's a real potential here.
All right, on the development, or one development I should point out is, well, let's just go through. So we talked about Sean, obviously, for a second. You look at the Class A finals after you had another sectional championship. The usual suspects, especially Baldwinsville and Liverpool, are going to chase West Gen, who opened this week Tuesday against Saratoga Springs at Herkimer Community College. And then host Penfield today, actually, just as Beeville, FM, and Liverpool all face off. Some town foes, too. And then we'll talk a little bit of Class B as well after this.
Well, FM in Class B, you've got FM, and you have Auburn, Whitesboro. Very few teams now. Because of the changes in the state classifications that were done the last few years. It's made, once they went to 4 classes a few years back, it changed the whole formula. And the thing is, Class A doesn't have many teams up here, but it has a lot of teams down on Long Island and in Section 1 and places like that. And they're very, very strong there, while as the teams here, there's a deep pool of strong teams in Classes C and D. So that's something to look out for later in the season, especially when you get to the postseason. But the regular season, these teams all intermingle. B's and C's and B's and A's. It can be a little confusing, but league titles still matter.
All right, Phil and I are going to bounce here for 1 second. When we come back, we're going to go through, talk with some of our guests, obviously, who's coming on the program. We're also going to chat a little bit about Class C, Class D in lacrosse, go through boys baseball, and keep things rolling. So you're tuning in to, obviously, the Aflac Insurance Inside High School Sports Show presented by SummitCars.com.
This is the Aflac Insurance Inside High School Sports Show, brought to you by SummitCars.com.
All right, here we are back on it, ladies and gentlemen, and great to have everybody in studio. Phil, who you texting, buddy? I'm just busting your chops. So, it's great to be here in studio. We've got our good friend Mike McLaughlin from McDonald's. Michael, what's going on, pal? How are you?
Good morning.
Great to have you on.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, nice to have you on. 10?
Yes, 10 restaurants I own and operate in the greater Syracuse market.
What's your favorite part of McDonald's, food-wise? I'm going to go food right off the bat, okay?
I'm probably a Big Mac fan myself.
Mac. Philly? Still
I'm traditional.
a Big Mac guy? I always like that chicken sandwich with the mayo and all that kind of stuff. I'm a McNugget guy, too. Jump on the microphone, bro. You got to get on here. Come on, let's see.
Those chicken strips you came up with were pretty good. I'll tell you
Yes.
All right, boys, let's talk about it. We got West Tennessee boys basketball team in the first sectional title in 25 years, a dramatic comeback to beat Saratoga Springs in the regionals, and then in Binghamton, the program's first ever state class AA championship earned by beating Niagara Falls in the semifinals. Brentwood in the championship game. Lucas Sutherland, what's up, Lucas?
What's going on?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Big time right there. Jacob Dunsky, what's up, Jacob? Oh, Jasinski, sorry. That's what I asked you right before we got into, didn't I? Jacob, did you say hello?
My name's Adam.
What is it?
Adam.
Phil! Oh, my God. Ladies and gentlemen, Phil is cut from this. And that's why Adam's looking at me with his specs. Jake McLean, what's up, Jake?
Jack.
Good job, Phil. Jack. And then Christian Rossi. I know I got that one right.
That's right.
Good job, Rossi. All right, Lucas, first of all, let's talk about it. Huge, 25 years, big dramatic comeback. First of all, I want to hear about the comeback to beat Saratoga Springs in the regionals. That was big time.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those games that, I mean, definitely was not going our way. But, I mean, Coach said at halftime we're going to have some big scoring quarters, and that's what we had to do. We had to go out there, we had to stay together, and that's what we did. We got the win. So,
Adam, talk about getting the points and pulling things together. I mean, how did it start clicking?
I think...
Let's get close to the microphone.
I think that, end of the third quarter, we realized, this is our season on the line. This is everything we had to do. Gave it all we got. And stepped up and made plays.
Yeah. Jack, I mean, it's hard when you're behind a little bit. You got to rally some points. Things might be down a bit. Talk about the turnaround.
Yeah, we just had confidence in ourselves. I think, we were down 11 at the end of the third, and that's when it started getting nervous, but I knew we had a potential to make a comeback, and also when we were down by 4 with 16 seconds left, that was probably when I was most nervous, but then Cam Jones hit a big shot, and then Will took it coast to coast at the buzzer to bring us to overtime, and it was easy from there.
Christian, let's talk about it. Did you guys each pound a Big Mac and then get out there and make it happen?
No. Be careful how you answer that.
So you're in this game. You now go and you beat Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is a huge powerhouse.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Talk about that one.
I mean, that was just a great game for us. That game really surprised me because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous going into it, but just the composure we played with and just how good we played. I feel like that was a big part of being successful.
Let's talk about this. If each of you guys could pick, I guess, a single moment from the state title run that really stood out, what would that be? So, Lucas, what in your eyes, what is the big moment for you?
Definitely the state championship game. With about a minute 30 left, when everything was just kind of sinking in, what we did, that probably was the best moment.
You're like, wow, this happened finally. Yeah. We can enjoy this for a minute. Adam, same kind of question to you.
I remember this, Lucas had a really, good dunk. I stared at him the whole way down. I was like, all right, we can really do this.
Did you hang on the rim and get a tee or no?
No tees. No tees.
Your coach said no hanging from that rim. Jack, how about you? Single moment, something that was
for me. It was at the beginning of the second half. It was tied at halftime, and when we came out with a 7-0 run at the very beginning of the half, and that's when I was like, holy crap, we actually have a really good chance to win it.
We've got our McDonald's in studio interview here with Jack McLaughlin, owner of local Mickey D's and West Genesee boys basketball team state championships. Christian, how about you? That single moment when finally you're like, okay, here we go.
There was about a little less than a minute left, and we had a pretty good lead at that point. And I went to ask Coach Kent a question. It might have been about like what defense we were in or something. And he was like, "What'd you say, champ?" And like right then, that was the moment I was like, "Wow, we really just did this."
That's great.
Yeah.
Lucas, you said right to Phil at the state final. Phil and I were talking about this, how much fun you were having, I guess, in the middle of that game. So first of all, talk about chat with Phil in the game. That's great.
I mean,
so Phil's down there, behind you.
Phil's down there. I mean, that was one of those. I mean, there's a lot of people at that table. I recognized him first. I just looked at him and I'm like, this is fun. Like, this is
It's supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. Phil, talk about that for a second. So here you are in championship game.
It dawned on me in that moment that you guys got the whole mentality perfect, because when you get to this point, a lot of people freeze up and a lot of people get nervous and a lot of people just don't play their best. But it seems like you were enjoying the moment, and I think those people that enjoy the moment the most do the best in those situations, and that's true in any sport. I mean, you just apply it to any sport. Everyone says the most fun is when I'm trying to win a big championship, because that's what you play for, that's what you work for. I mean, is that the general sense? Not just for you, Lucas, but for all you guys?
Yeah.
Lucas, I mean, you're the funny part is how relaxed you were at that point.
Yeah.
I
mean, I have not really been in that situation before, but I've been in games like that. So, I mean, it was nothing new. I mean, you got to get out there and play, have fun with it.
Jack, you had the winning shot against Corcoran in February.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Did it beat the buzzer?
I mean, it does. The refs called it beat the buzzer, so that means it beat the buzzer.
Yeah.
That's the game.
For me, it doesn't even matter. The fact that you hit that game winner, I mean, that's big time. I mean, it takes a huge mental focus, being able to step up and hit that shot. Take us through, I guess, a little bit of that. The creation of the shot. Was it a set play? Was it you just taking over? Talk about it all.
Yeah, so Will got the ball. There was like 5 seconds left. He dribbled, then he just lost it, and then I just didn't even think about it. I just grabbed it and just threw it in the air. And I thought they were not going to – I really thought they weren't going to call it. Like, I was like, well, that didn't go in, and I thought it was past the buzzer. And then everyone just mobbed me, and I was like, all right, I guess it counts. I guess we won.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Exactly. Mike, talk about that for a second. Look, you got 2 teams, obviously 2 West Genesee teams that are champions. Pretty cool to have that here in the local market and right down the road from you.
The one point that I wanted to make is to congratulate you folks for doing such a good job and appreciate how much hard work you have to put in to get to the final result. I mean, I know what it's like to go to practices, every day, Saturday mornings, travel teams in the off season. So congratulations to putting that kind of hard work in. And just as a note to this, what I was going to ask is, I'd like to offer you and your families to come to the McDonald's in Camillus for a free lunch or dinner. I'll work it out with your coach at some point if that's acceptable, just to show how much the community supports all your hard work.
How about that?
Thank you very much. Sounds awesome.
Is that offer to Phil, too?
Phil, you can come, too. No, come on. I'll save you a spot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's very nice.
Oh, you're welcome, guys.
All right,
Thank you.
Let's talk about the comeback against Saratoga. Let's talk about also that you pulled off, Shenandoah late in December. So, but let's talk about it. So, Christian, let's go to you first. Talk a little bit about the combo there. Both games.
I mean, one thing that both games had in common was going into the fourth quarter, we were obviously down. And I just remember Coach Kent before the quarter started saying that, like, hey, like, this is it. This is what we need, the big quarter right here. And it just seemed like both games we managed to pull it off.
Pretty unbelievable, too,
yeah.
and done in a very nice well. Let's talk about Will Amika. So many times, big, the moments, the postseason, his ability to produce clutch shots. His mother's a wonderful person. Spent some time with her. Let's, Jack, talk about Will and what he brought to the table.
I mean, he's absolutely amazing. Like, I told him in the state championship game, like, they really could not stop him. Like, he could go to the basket any time in the state championship game, and for him to be that good, that in the state championship game, it's like he's playing with, like, kids that are, like, not anywhere near his level. It just shows how good he is.
Phil, go ahead.
to make a point about how Will. I mean, he was named the Final Four, the most valuable player, and very well deserving. Because the good thing was, so many different times he had big moments. Sectional final against Utica and Notre Dame, key steal in the last minute, and free throws. The drive at the end of regulation against Saratoga. I mean, without that, you don't even get to Binghamton. Right. And then he was keeping you afloat in the first half against Brentwood while you were waiting to get going. And it was, he was making a lot of shots and stuff. And I'll ask Lucas, because everyone was focusing on you so much all season. How much pressure did he take off you in the sense that you didn't have to really carry the load, even though you had some big performances all season? How important was it that you didn't have to carry the load most of the time?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's good because, like Jack said, Will can make those plays, and he steps up in those type of situations all throughout the playoffs. I mean, it's a lot of those teams, they don't really have scouting reports. They don't really know much. So, I mean, just having someone just be able to kind of take that, you know what I mean, kind of be able to produce in times like that, especially games like that, is huge. Adam,
do you like having Phil over your shoulder?
I have to say also, Adam was very important. I know I messed up his first name, but in the Shen game, he hit a lot of big three-pointers in that comeback. Without his threes, they don't win that game. That's for sure. I mean, every one of you guys did something big at one point or another. You don't win a state title with one guy or two guys. It takes every big star doing something big at some point or another. So they all did.
All right, let's get to this. Let's talk about Coach Fred Kent and what he had done for you boys all season long, and the focus and the mentality and the understanding of the championship mentality. Christian, let's go to you first. Talk about Coach and all he's brought to the table for West Genesee boys basketball.
I mean, Coach Kent's a huge part of our success, obviously. Obviously the coaching and everything, but really just the sacrifices he's made for us. He's a busy guy. He's got a family going on, and to come in Saturday mornings and even some Sundays when we had to take a couple days off during the week, he'd come in Sundays so we could keep practicing. And, he was there for shoot around every morning with breakfast pizza and stuff for us. So he's really just been a huge part to our success and building the family culture between us.
Yeah, it'll be McMuffins now. Adam, talk about Coach as well.
Coach Ken's just a really fun person. He makes basketball fun and just relaxes us. During games, he'll crack a joke and he'd be like, all right, everything's gonna be all right.
Right, everything's gonna be. Jack, how about you?
In addition to Coach Kent being a really fun person, he's an extremely hard worker. He looks at a lot of film. He makes sure that practices are great, scheduled perfectly. Even though he's not that much, he's a fun person. He's a little relaxed at sometimes. He also is an extremely hard worker in the way he does practices and stuff like that and prepares for games.
Very cool. Lucas?
I mean, it's the same thing all these guys said. I mean, it's going to be very difficult to find someone who outworks Coach Kent throughout the season, just do everything he does for us. So, I mean, it's amazing.
Lucas, let's talk about the reception you guys received. So you win this championship, you and the girls. Talk about the community. Everybody's excited about this, the rally and the excitement, the parades, the balloons, the signing autographs.
You're celebrity now.
It was, it's big time. I mean, it's not every year. I don't remember the last time it happened, but a boys and girls team won a sectional championship, and we both made to the state championships, and it's just being able to say that we did that, just being part of that history forever is really exciting for all of us.
And, let's go right down the boat. Adam, let's start with you first. Talk about the reception, the excitement.
It's great. Just everyone, high-fiving you in school, just talking about the game. I talk to people that I usually don't talk to, but, we just have, a bond over it, kind of.
Yeah, it's got to be exciting. Christian, how about you?
Yeah, it definitely feels good considering, when people hear West Tennessee, they think about lacrosse and hockey. So to kind of put basketball up there and then just talking to teachers that I don't even know who they are really, coming up to me congratulating me and stuff. Yeah, I really appreciate that, and our support all year has been great.
Nice. Jack?
Also, it was awesome when we got back from the state final game at probably 2 a.m. at the high school. There was a ton of our probably most loyal fans there to congratulate us, and and our families, and it was awesome to get that, to know that people care.
Yeah. Phil, go ahead. Phil wants to jump on the microphone. There you go, Adam. Phil can hang out with you again.
It must be said, that game took place, the state final, late on a Saturday night, because there was a wild, wild day of games. You were there. You saw Cooperstown play 3 overtimes in their semifinal, where Lambert had 56 points on the way to a state title, by the way. And we don't want to shortchange Cooperstown for what they accomplished, winning a state title.
That's
and
right.
then you probably got to see the Lowville game, the Lowville the Glens Falls, the Girard game, and all the drama of that. As most intense an atmosphere I've ever been a part of. So he didn't get played till like 9:30, so he got home late.
Lucas, let's talk about Joe Girard for a second. What do you guys think of him as a player?
I mean, he's great. I mean, he's elite. He's in that elite class. I mean, he's lights out shooter, and he's going to be really successful. And obviously, we wish the best for him.
Yeah, at Syracuse. Adam, how about you? What did you think about Joe Girard?
Him at Glens Falls, that was the first time I ever seen him
Yeah.
like in real life. Like I've always seen like highlight films of him, but like he's the real deal.
Yeah, quick and controlled. Christian, how about you?
Yeah, I was just shocked how calm and composed he always is. Like Phil said, we got there at the end of the game, so it was just like huge moments, and he just stepped up every time. So that really impressed me.
Yeah, could really step up and do his thing. Jack, same feeling, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's crazy how he was still able to get a shot off at the end of the game when literally Lowville could have put 5 players on him. I think he still would have shot, and he still got a shot off and scored.
But did you see that thow too? It was,
Yeah.
I mean, just like a hook and ladder. I mean,
Yeah.
just basically, it was so easy
Yeah, it's crazy.
that you would. I didn't even understand. I was just like, oh my gosh, it was. I mean, break that down too. It wasn't like he had to shoot.
The last
Like they
sequence
didn't
was
force him.
ridiculous. He'd missed a free throw. They were
Right.
down 1. There are 5 seconds left. They commit a foul. Lowville pushing the guy over. It may have been an act. They get the ball back, but because he's out, they can't enter the game because he had 4 fouls. Then they inbound. They're trying to find someone. It goes out of bounds with 3 seconds, but it allows Girard to get back in the game for that last
Right.
play, and then that happens. I mean, the whole place was. I mean. It was pretty overwhelming on all fronts. You know?
All right, let's keep talking. So, Lucas, let's bounce back to you again. You got Amika coming back, obviously. Let's talk about what this team will look like next season. What are your thoughts?
I mean, we have pieces on this team that kind of saw what it takes to do what we did.
Yeah.
So I mean, regardless of, the people coming back are really good. I mean, I really think that next year they're going to impress a lot of people as well. But I mean, just having those pieces to know like what it takes to get to the level that they need to be at to get a state championship, I think is pretty huge as well.
Were you guys all growing up successful, this group? You guys biddy basketball, travel team, all that kind of stuff? Did you guys always have great success?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of local stuff early on, and then kind of like as high school hit, we kind of went separate places for AAU. But just growing up for the most part, I mean, we still have that chemistry from everything we did when we were younger.
Christian, talk about that growing up and kind of all the leagues and stuff.
Yeah, when we were young, we all played like the Youth Optimist League together and stuff. And then, like Luke said, when we got older, we kind of split up a little bit, but we were still in
So
open
is
gyms
that
and
good?
stuff.
Is the AAU thing and all that kind of stuff good? You like that?
Yeah,
How it is, and
I like AAU because like it allows you to play a different type of basketball than you might be used to, like in Camillus and stuff. And you just meet new people and stuff. I think it's a great experience.
more freedom. Like kind of free.
Yeah, I feel so.
Kind of developing your game, seeing what you're good at, what you're not good at, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Obviously, awesome to have West Genesee boys basketball in studio Class AA championship. Big time Niagara Falls, huge wins all over the place. Guys, give yourselves a big round of applause. Come on now. That is very, very, very big. Great to have you guys in. Let's do some shout-outs. Adam, why don't you start out? Who do you want to give a shout-out to?
My biggest supporter is probably my mom and my dad, and just my whole family, just being there for me all the time.
Very good. Lucas, shout-out. Where do you want to go?
Family, for sure. Mom, dad, brother, and sister. Just for all the support.
Beautiful. Jack, how about you?
Yeah, my family, especially Gary McLean for being the biggest supporter.
All right, very, very nice. And Michael, anything else you'd like to add here?
No, I think it's very commendable that they give credit to their families. I was a parent with my wife with a daughter who played AAU basketball, and I schlepped all over Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York City, so I know what it endures for a family to support the grade of athlete that you all have turned into. So the best of luck to you going forward.
All right, very, very nice. McDonald's in studio interview. Boys, thanks so much. Give yourselves once more time a big round of applause. And the girls coming in next. We'll be right back. ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1.
This is the Aflac Insurance Inside High School Sports Show, brought to you by SummitCars.com.
All right, here we are back in studio. Mike McLaughlin from McDonald's, as well as the championship West Genesee girls basketball team. Girls, thanks for coming in. Alaisha Castanen. Did I say that right?
Castagnon.
Castagnon. Oh, I like that last name. It's got a good twist right there. Caitlin Skywalker. What's up, girls?
Nothing.
Phil
You have a
said-
new nickname now.
I like it.
Caitlin
It's okay.
Skywalker. Phil, in the NBA, who was the dunk champion?
Kenny Skywalker.
That's right, Kenny Skywalker. I need you to look up Kenny Skywalker when you get home.
Okay, I will.
Then you can check it out because now you are Caitlin. You got well, that's right. That's what happened. All right, 2 Section 3 titles, state Final Four appearance here. Western City's girls basketball team took it one step further, not just getting a third straight sectional crown, but making it all the way to the state Class AA championship game before getting stopped by, well, let's not even talk about that. Let's just talk about how good you girls played. So let's talk about the West Jenny teams, but Alicia, let's go to you first. What a run you girls had. Talk about the long run.
I don't know. On off season, we put in the work every single day, and then we brought that into our season and just kept working and pushing ourselves to get where we wanted because we knew we wanted to get back at the semifinals to get a revenge to win. So, yeah.
So was that from the beginning of the season to now, was it all about revenge?
Well, not really revenge, but like just because like I don't know how to put it in words. We wanted to come back to. I don't know.
I'm teasing you about the revenge, but just talk about it.
Be driven.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Our goal was just to get back to state championship.
Caitlin, talk a little bit about, I guess, is there a difference between the last two West Jenny teams and this team and maybe the tone of the two?
We've always like had a close knit team, but especially this year, we all just had like such great chemistry, and we just like enjoyed being together. So I think that like definitely helped throughout the long season. Like no matter what happened, we all just like felt like playing together was just that much better.
You know, every great team has that maybe signature loss at some point. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you look at, I guess, CNS in January.
Yeah.
What did you learn? What and Kaylee can answer that first, and we'll go to Alicia.
It was definitely like we were upset about the loss, but it was definitely like nice to be like we needed to lose like to like have that feeling so we could get back and just keep playing better. But yeah, we learned that like it doesn't really matter like the loss obviously, but we just needed to learn how to get back over that.
Alicia, talk about the same thing, but you know, having that loss, what it taught you, and then what it showed the rest of the team.
I think everyone has to lose to learn, because in every game you have to learn something, whether you win or lose. And with that game, when we were in the locker room, we kind of just said like, just bring it to 20, like just have fun, because we're gonna lose, but we learn from it. Like next year, the team's gonna learn from that loss and just put in the work afterwards.
Phil, jump in. I know that Alicia had a terrific game, though.
Yeah, she had a great game, but I think I go specifically from the fact that when you play them the second time, but then when you play them again in the sectional final, defensively, you really turned it around. How are you able to not just contain their guards, but to really contain their great pair of sophomore forwards?
I don't know. We've been practicing. We were practicing for them for weeks, and in that game, I just thought like we weren't. I don't know. We were having a hard time getting a start in that game, and I realized that someone needed to step up in order to get the game going. So I came out and I did what I had to do.
From the loss to CNS in January, as we just kind of point out, but let's talk about the Smith sisters. Both got past the 1,000-point milestone before the postseason started. Obviously, take the pressure off a little bit, but Alicia, talk about that. Huge scoring.
It was amazing. Like, you would see other teams and like they don't really like. We thought we won sectionals when they both hit their 1,000 points. Like it was crazy. Like we're just that close, and we made those games about them in order for them to get that milestone. We didn't make it about us. We tried to get them the ball every second of the game. So
smart, and probably a smart move there. A McDonald's Spotlight interview. Mike McLaughlin. Mike, why don't you jump in and talk with the girls here for a second?
Well, first of all, congratulations. As I was telling the boys, I was the parent of a daughter who played AAU ball and went to the sectionals and lost, unfortunately. But I know how much hard work you have to put into that, and especially being familiar with a girls' team, how hard it is and how important it is to work as a team. You know, you focused on the two Smith girls that were scoring so much. In order to do that, then the focus turns to the rest of the team in order for you to go forward. So congratulations to both you and your families for putting in all the hard work that you got here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very nice job. You know, when you look at Shenandoah bashed you in December. I mean, let's go to that.
Yeah.
And so different now in the regional final. Alea, chat about that. Huge turnaround.
I just want to talk about the Shen game because that was not us. Like that's not how we play. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know. We still remember that 33 because that's how much we lost by. And when we came out during regionals, we're like, we're not losing. Like, we lost to them by 33, but we know what we can do. So let's come out and do it because that was
and
the
you did.
game. Yeah. Yeah.
And Caitlin, I mean, listen, when you're an athlete, that's happened. There's some teams that come out, they shoot 90%, just their day. This is what happens. Or completely not your day.
Yeah.
Chat a little bit about it.
Yeah, definitely. And in like December when we lost by that much, we were obviously, like Alicia said, we were not having our day. And so we just practiced and like knew what we had to do the next time we played them. So we just came out and did what we had to do.
You look at how much credit you got to give yourselves for obviously what you've done, the boys team, what they've done, both accomplishing something so amazing. Did you see the boys' success fueling you a little bit and vice versa, kind of going off each other and talking with each other? Was there a lot of that kind of stuff? Yeah. Alicia, talk a little bit about that, kind of going back and forth with the boys. Any trash talking, any fun stuff?
No. We're friends with the boys, and I even said it in the beginning of the season. We're both going to sectionals and we're both going to win because like I just saw the talent that they had and the talent we had. When they won, we're like, we're not losing. Like, we're winning this game because we're going to go together. Like,
nice. That
was our goal, is to go together after they won sectional. So
you look at the celebration. I asked the boys the same thing, and we were chatting about this in studio. So, Caitlin, talk about the celebration when you girls got home.
Well, when they won states, we were all watching the game in our hotel room, and we were enjoying it as much as they were, I think. Yeah. And it was just really cool to see them accomplish something that amazing. And when we lost, even like our parents, when we came home on the bus, our parents and a lot of people from our school were still there, like cheering us on, and it was really nice.
Yeah. When you guys look back on this season, what was most memorable for you, most exciting for you? And Alicia, go to you first.
Most memorable. I don't know. Maybe like us getting close and getting back to the states and winning that semifinal game, because losing last year was hard because we worked our butts off the whole entire season and we ended up losing. But this year we did it and we got one step further, so it felt great.
Yeah. Caitlin, how about you?
Playing in the Dome is really fun, and winning sectionals there again was amazing. And then definitely regionals was a great memory for us because we knew losing to Shen by 30 something and then winning against them was really cool. But yeah.
Phil and I were chatting about this too a little while ago, but the program moving on and piling up some sectional titles, CNS did for years. Obviously, Brianna Stewart graduated, etc. Talk a little bit about the future of West Genesee girls hoops.
We still have a great program, definitely, and with all the seniors leaving, our team still has a lot of experience. Like, we've had a young team, so they've all been on varsity for a couple of years, I think they definitely have talent to move on and possibly move forward, but we're hoping for the best for them.
All right, very nice. Alicia, how about you?
Like she said, like, we have talent. We even have talent coming up from the JV team. Like, I think if they put in the work that we did, they'll be good. Like, they just need to stay together and push each other every day, because that's what we did, and that's what it takes.
Keep working. Phil, you got anything else to add here for the girls?
Just the idea that I think you do have two sectional titles on. You win
right.
3 in a row, and you still have a little bit of an edge on the guys in terms of overall accomplishments over the last few years. And I want to say their coach is in Florida right now. He's not trying to avoid everything. He's in Florida right now. Yeah. But it's not too bad here, I'll say that. But what a great job the coaching staff as a whole did for the last few years to take a program that was okay and turn into something great.
Champions, yeah. Yep, no question. All right, let's do some shout-outs. Alicia, who do you want to give a shout-out to?
My family.
Got a girl. Caitlin, shout out. Skywalker.
Definitely my family and our coaches, for sure. And our teammates, too.
Oh, yeah, our teammates.
Caitlin Skywalker, Mike the MVP McLaughlin, and Alicia the, Juggernaut. How about that? Do we got them all?
That's fine.
And Phil the Guru Blackwell, ladies and gentlemen, everybody here in studio. All right, girls, big round of applause. Great job.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back. ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1.
This is the Aflac Insurance Inside High School Sports Show, brought to you by SummitCars.com.
All right, Philly B, what's going on, buddy? So great to have both sets of West Genesee here in studio, boys and girls basketball. So great job lining that up.
Yeah, and the thing is, so many of these athletes not only have this season, but a lot of them go right into the next season. I mean, there's plenty of players on the girls basketball team playing other sports in the spring or doing things like lacrosse and other things, going from one sport to another very quickly. They don't get a lot of time. Same thing with the fall and winter. You have so many athletes that go from one season to another with almost no downtime. And that should get a lot of credit, especially those multi-sport athletes, which should get more credit than they always do.
One developing boys lacrosse involves CBA, who has ruled Class D the last 2 years and claimed a state title in 2017, moving up to Class C to challenge likes of West Hill and JD. It was the Warriors who ended the Red Rams' decade-long run of sectional titles. And West Hill already has a win over Chittenango on its ledger as JD meets Auburn late this week. The Maroons, keen on ESM, who has won the last 2 Class B sectionals in C titles. The promotion of CBA throws, let's think about it, Class D wide open now to the likes of Clint Skinealis, whose longtime coach Ron Doctors in his last season. Lafayette, contender Casanova, with the latter 2 of these teams meeting Saturday today at Casanova College.
Yeah, they're meeting today. I mean, an opening game, very important one for Lafayette and Casanova. Skinealis opened a couple of nights ago, won a tight one over Geneva. Want to mention some of the changes we kind of touched on earlier in the program. Class C is loaded. You've got 3 reigning sectional champions there. You have West Hill already. But CBA got promoted into Class C. They haven't played a game yet, Beardsley's team, but they'll start to do that. Meanwhile, JD's there. I mean, and you have ESM moving from Class B to C. They've already won a couple of games this season, the Spartans. ESM and JD meet each other Monday night. And I'll tell you, I watched JD last night, some parts. They are scary. They might be as potent as some of those state championship teams they had earlier this decade in terms of the offense that they have. Players like Connor Durkin and Tyler Brang and Nick Chemis, who, by the way, pulled off a behind-the-back shot yesterday against Auburn that was like, come on now. They've got mad skill, and they're hungry because this is the first time in a decade that JD's not a defending sectional champion, so they are hungry.
Also, girls lacrosse has started, and there's a defending state champion in Class A. Again, CBA should be quite strong as it returns half of its starting lineup, but most replace some great seniors like Claire Jeschke, Grace Holslander, Olivia Pinoy, all the girls. So let's figure out West Genesee or CBA. Also, West Genesee, like its boys' counterparts, has a new head coach in Drew White. CNS and Baldwinsville figure to be a challenge too. In fact, we get some big games early as West Genesee meets up with its neighbors from West Hill midweek. And then today, the Bees North Stars clash. We'll chat about that. Liverpool already played a game on the 16th at North Shore. Narrow 11-9 defeat under new head coach Aaron Anderson.
Yeah, in terms of the West Genesee and West Hill, that was an interesting game on Tuesday. West Hill won 8-7. Held on. We're down 8-4. Jenny scored 3 goals late. They got a last-second save to hang on, win that game. A great win for West Hill over a West Genesee team that lost to plenty in years past. Baldwinsville's already got 2 wins on the ledger. They won earlier this week, and last night they won an overtime game over Brighton, I think it was. Katie Pascal back from her injury with a winning goal in overtime. Beeville's then playing CNS this afternoon. Also wanted to mention that FM started last night. They beat South Jefferson, the reigning Class D sectional champion, 16-10. They bring back the Shanley sisters, the Steigerwald sisters. They're going to be loaded, FM, as they try and make another run in Class B. I think in Class A, it's probably pretty even again among those top teams, although we'll start to find out this afternoon.
FM girls lacrosse was in Class B a year ago, reached the state semifinals before falling to eventual champion Manhasset. The Hornets bring back a ton of talent from 18, including, as Phil mentioned, the Steigerwald sisters. Let's also talk about the Lakers, longtime contender Marcellus, West Hill all eager to dethrone the Spartans here as one solid team.
Yeah, I mean, also in Class C, you've got strong teams like JD, the defending sectional champions. Don't forget Fulton and Carthage. They both have early season wins already. JD beat Auburn last night. Good win for them. In the Ds, it's always strong. Skinny Atlas reigned for quite a while, and they've got plenty of talent back. They open their season, I think, today. The Lakers do. They're going to be there again. And South Jeff, yes, they lost to FM, but they were pretty competitive in that game, and they bring back enough to think that they could contend again. And you know Marcellus is hungry after all these near misses the last few years. They had an impressive opening win earlier this week. And obviously we mentioned West Hill. That win over West Tennessee was of such high quality. They've got a new coach. It's not Bob Elmer, not the same Bob Elmer as before, but the one that was a longtime assistant to Brittany Bergani, longtime assistant. Now he's the head coach. And what a couple of wins they've had to start the season.
For the second year in a row, a Section 3 team that won the boys basketball New York State Public High School Athletic Association Class AA title could not follow it up with a Federation title in Glens Falls, but that's okay. We'll talk about the Queen's power, Christ the King, of course, throughout the game. Hanging close with help from Lucas, Southern's 24 points. But Phil, just nearly there, but a really, really terrific game.
Yeah, I mean, Genesee hung in there the whole time despite, Southern had 24 points despite a lot of foul trouble. Maybe Amika was a little bit off, but they hung in all most of the way, and before Christ the King prevailed at the end. But it must be said, and then Christ the King then lost to Long Island Lutheran in the Federation Championship game anyway. But the thing is, it's so tough for a public high school champion to do anything at Federations because it's such a long path to a state title, the public state title, through sectionals and regionals and then the state Final Four, that these are steps that some of the other teams that are in the Federations don't have to go through. And they can go right into this Federation event really, really rested, and they don't feel like they've peaked. For a public team, the peak is that public state championship, really. And afterwards, it can feel a little bit like, I don't say a letdown, but maybe a little bit of an anticlimax, perhaps.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, we're going to take a break, Phil, and I'll be right back. A couple more minutes left after this. ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1.
This is the Aflac Insurance Inside High School Sports Show, brought to you by SummitCars.com.
All right, Phil, real quick, we got about 1 minute here. So I did want to point out, I should say, when you start looking at, what happens here, what was it? Where did I want to go here? Where is it? Here it is. The Federation Basketball Champs in Glens Falls. So you got Albany Academy earned the boys Class A title, okay, by routing Frederick Douglass. That was 75-49. You also had the girls' side, Epic Class AA final, and we talked about West Genesee and just nearly taking care of that. What was missing, do you think, in that piece?
Well, the thing with West Genesee was they just ran in the state championship game into an awesome opponent. Ossining has won 5 state championships, this public state championships, this decade. They've had girls go to UConn, Sunita Chung before, and this year they had, I think it was another player, Griffin, I think it was, but another player, Ossining, is heading to UConn, Aubrey Griffin. And she had like 38 points in that state final, and she almost carried them to a victory in that Federation Championship game as well. She's just they have a college-level team at Ossining.
And then real quick, Pittsford Mendon, who ended JD's reign as a public school Class A champion, when it beat the Red Rams in the semifinals, went under the Federation crown by winning 72-67 over Staten Island Academy in another overtime classic.
And we wanted to mention also that there were 3 local players on the Lemoyne team that went all the way to the Sweet 16. And 3 players, Roberts from CNS and Liz Malia from Cooperstown and Zimmerman from South Jefferson, all part of it, and they all return next season for them. And congratulations, by the way, to Patrick Beeline of Lemoyne, who's just become the coach at Niagara University, Division I. Great, congratulations to him.
Yeah, we'll get Pat on too. All right, we'll see you actually not next week, but the following week. This is the Aflac Insurance Inside High School Sports Show presented by SummitCars.com, ESPN Radio 97.7 and 100.1. 7 and 100.1. 7 and 100.1. 7 and 100.1. 7 and 100.1.